Alright, I'm not going to try to sit here and tell you that the Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus are all new phones. Not only is Samsung using almost all the same design, materials, components, and features found on its last-gen flagships, but the similarities go down to using the exact same box, charger, USB cable, and headphones. The software is near identical to the update that started hitting the Galaxy S8 in January. In many ways, Samsung isn't even trying to act like these are altogether new phones. Iterating the branding to S9 is purely an exercise in keeping naming consistent for consumers than a true indication of a generational jump. If any other company did this, its phones would quickly be cast into the shadows for lacking innovation or an eye-catching feature to draw in potential buyers. But Samsung isn't like other companies. It's actually sitting at the top of the Android world, taking in nearly all of the available profits in the flagship space. And that affords it some flexibility to release an iterative update. The Galaxy S9 is near indistinguishable from the S8, but the hardware is still absolutely a strong point. This is beautiful, modern design that looks great and is functional in terms of getting a ton of screen in a relatively small package. The metal frame and tightly curved glass are gorgeous, but Samsung's still showing that it didn't have to sacrifice functionality for form. The Galaxy S9 is IP68 water resistant, of course, and the glass back enables wireless charging. There's a fan favorite SD card slot for up to 400 gigabytes of extra storage, and look at that on the bottom of the phone, a headphone jack. The increasingly rare port matches up well with a really good pair of AKG earbuds that you'll actually find included in the box. Samsung was smart to stick with everything that made the Galaxy S8 so appealing, but it did fix a few quirks that we latched onto last year. You can actually find and use the fingerprint sensor without any hand contortion. And for the times when you can't reach, the new intelligent scan system lets you quickly unlock the phone with your face while retaining iris scanning for protecting more sensitive data in the phone. Without changing the exterior design, Samsung made a few choice upgrades on the inside. A new top earpiece complements the downfiring speaker to form a stereo pair, providing critical audio separation when you're watching landscape video, and also giving a boost to both volume and bass when listening to music without headphones. The Snapdragon 845 processor I'm using in this US model of the Galaxy S9 Plus is the latest and greatest from Qualcomm, and honestly it's far more powerful than anything we need in a smartphone today, particularly when it's paired up with 6GB of RAM. But hey, it means that this phone's ready for the future. Likewise, the display is absolutely leading the smartphone industry. Samsung outdid itself by increasing brightness a whole 15%, complementing what's already a fundamentally fantastic display in terms of colors, clarity, off-axis viewing, and visibility in direct sunlight. Trust me, you wish your phone had this screen. All of those changes are fantastic additions to the Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus, but I'd argue Samsung could have skipped them all and simply included this new camera as its only major upgrade. It's the top feature of these phones. With the move to an all-new 12-megapixel sensor, the Galaxy S9 has dramatically improved its processing for shots of all kinds. Every photo is a combination of 12 frames captured simultaneously, leading to insanely crisp details and almost no noise even in the dark. The camera's trick new lens that can switch between f1.5 and f2.4 helps even further, with most shots taken at f1.5 to let in as much light as possible, but switching to f2.4 for even better detail in daylight. You can fiddle around with Pro mode if you want, but I was blown away with the quality of photos in straight up auto mode. The biggest comparison here is of course to the Pixel 2's camera. These phones don't take the same types of photos, but they both produce fantastic imagery. The Pixel 2 is capable of creating scenes that no other smartphone can, and turns HDR processing into eye-catching photos that have a very dramatic look with extra saturation and highlights. On the other hand, the Galaxy S9 comes closer to a natural reproduction of a scene with great colors and that amazing detail and low noise. The photo quality is so good from the main sensor that it almost obviates the need for the secondary sensor on the S9 Plus, which is near identical to the Note 8's. That second sensor and lens aren't anything special, meaning in many dimmer scenes, you'll just be using the main sensor with a digital crop anyway. And the live focus portrait mode still runs into processing issues, whereas the f1.5 main lens can often provide better natural background blur. The new sensor tech enables 960 frame per second slow motion video, which is very clearly a gimmick, but it's a darn fun one at that. With the right conditions and a steady hand, you can get jaw-dropping slow motion scenes, and Samsung's automatic capture interface makes it dead simple to get the shot you're looking for. Now let's come down off that high to talk about some of the less great parts of the Galaxy S9. As is always the case, it's the software. Samsung has made leaps and bounds in terms of design, overall fluidity, and features, but its out-of-box experience is still burdensome and clunky if you're used to any other company's phones. Samsung Experience 9.0 still feels like it's hanging on to vestiges of previous software versions, with settings that go several layers deep concealing features, design cues that mismatch with new Oreo-targeted apps, and launcher and keyboard that are nowhere near the quality of what Google offers. The legacy features may be comforting to some longtime Samsung users, but for people who just want to get the basics done, the Galaxy S9 has a mountain of cruft to contend with. I can personally deal just fine with an afternoon of tweaking settings, but then again, should I have to? Bixby Home still lacks standout features, but Bixby voice recognition is actually kind of useful. Interestingly, voice typing in the keyboard, also powered by Bixby, is a hot mess. The important part here is that you can use Bixby if you want it, and you can turn it off entirely if you don't. The same goes for AR Emoji, Samsung's new Animoji competitor. It works, it's neat, and maybe the younger crowd will latch onto it, but for most of us, we'll stick to taking great pictures with the camera rather than putting bunny masks on our cartoon avatars and selfies. After a long day of using the Galaxy S9 Plus, it's as good a time as any to talk about battery life. Samsung's promise of all-day battery holds true in my use, if just barely with the 3500 mAh battery. Without fail, I got 17 to 18 hours of battery life on the S9 Plus, including 3 to 4 hours of screen on time, at the point when I settled into bed and tossed the phone on its wireless charger. That's certainly good enough for most people and roughly on par with what I get out of my Pixel 2 XL, but heavier users will need a midday top-up if they're going to be hitting the phone hard. The only question mark that remains is just how the Galaxy S9, with its smaller 3000 mAh battery, will fare. Given my S9 Plus experience, I expect the smaller phone to once again underwhelm with its longevity. Samsung undeniably has another hit on its hands with the 1-2 punch of the Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus. Even though they aren't particularly exciting compared to the S8 and S8 Plus, that's not an issue. These phones were best sellers for Samsung, and now they've been improved in a few critical ways and are buoyed by a fantastic new camera system, all without losing anything that made them great last year. These are expensive phones, but the value proposition is simple. When someone walks in the store and asks for a phone that has a specific feature or can do certain things, undoubtedly the Galaxy S9 or S9 Plus can do it. And that same phone can fulfill different requests from the next person that walks in. These phones can just do everything. With the Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus, Samsung isn't pushing the envelope. It's just making phones that can appeal to as many people as possible. The excellence in these phones is that Samsung managed to make the phone for the masses while keeping them grounded as proper, finished products rather than a portmanteau of random ideas that's less than the sum of its parts. The real question is for discerning phone buyers out there whether they'll be better served by a phone like the Pixel 2 or 2 XL. They may not have the brilliant display or mountain of features, but their software experiences and simplicity are undeniably better. If you're willing to look at the details, you may be better served by those phones, but statistically most people will buy the Samsung phone instead, and they'll undoubtedly love it. For all of the latest in the world of Android and Google, you'll want to subscribe to Android Central here on YouTube so you never miss a video.